I don't know everything about the story, but I've kind of been following it loosely, and I just think it's funny that an insurance company did the dirty thing that they like to do, which is come up with excuses. Testing. Hey everyone. So, apparently in the news is about this guy named Luigi Mangione who shot the CEO of UnitedHealthCare because he had some medical issues, apparently a lot of pain, and they decided not to cover it for their favorite excuse ever of um, pre-existing condition. Sorry, long day. So I didn't know what Luigi was looking like until because I kept seeing this guy's face on memes. So I don't know. Every time I heard that this guy did this and his name was Luigi, this is what I saw. So I mean, I don't know, but yeah, let's watch some videos. Let's see just what it is that we got going on here.
Breaking news, the alleged CEO killer, Luigi Mangione, denied bail as many people are sympathizing with him online tonight. The book Delay, Deny, Defend, which is about the health insurance industry's tactics, jumping to number 2 on Amazon's nonfiction bestsellers list. Number 2. Safe to say that book would never have been anywhere near number 2 if it were not for Luigi Mangione. Those 3 words, delay, deny, defend, were almost identical to the ones found on shell casings near the crime scene. And on Yelp, the McDonald's where he was apprehended has been hit with a flood of one-star reviews, calling the employees, quote, snitches and rats. Jason Carroll is out front.
This Ivy League hottie.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that are saying that he's some sort of a hero because hold on. Let's play this again. Yeah, a lot of people are saying he's a hero. Sorry, try and Streamlabs in a different mode. Forgot to hit another button.
Denied bail as many people are sympathizing with him online tonight. The book Delay, Deny, Defend, which is about the health insurance industry's tactics, jumping to number 2 on Amazon's nonfiction bestsellers list. Number 2. Safe to say that book would never have been anywhere near number 2 if it were not for Luigi Mangione. Those 3 words, delay, deny, defend, were almost identical to the ones found on shell casings near the crime scene. And on Yelp, the McDonald's where he was apprehended has been hit with a flood of one-star reviews, calling the employees, quote, snitches and rats. Jason Carroll is out front.
This Ivy League hottie named Luigi.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I was trying to say is he did a crime, but because he killed the CEO of some big mega corporation, he's a hero to a lot of people. Um, I can see both sides of that. It is kind of loony, but at the same time, let's be honest, a lot of these CEOs and other C-level execs at various, big corporations. They're giants, and if you're the little guy, you don't always get your way with them people. So, yeah, unfortunately, sometimes the only way to make yourself known, I guess, is to pull a Luigi.
Luigi is the Robin Hood that we never knew that we needed.
I listened to Luigi's manifesto this morning 3 times and I cried. Honestly, it's beautiful and I agree with him.
At least he left a very powerful message.
Luigi's manifesto. Yeah, maybe we should look that up.
And he highlighted how terrible the healthcare system is in America. I think he'll go down as a hero in history.
He had been a named suspect for less than 48 hours, and yet, within a fraction of that time, many in the world of social media had already made up their minds about Luigi Mangione.
I'm just eating it up because this is like regular everyday person becoming our hero, our vigilante.
These types of comments angering law enforcement and public officials.
I don't carry your views about healthcare companies because I don't think they're great right now either. But you do not celebrate the assassination of another human being who is just doing his job.
But interest in Mangione just continues to grow. On X, before his arrest announcement,
Yeah, sitting there saying that, oh, he was just doing his job still isn't, that isn't cool, because that's just not, it's not cool because, again, he has so much power over other people. And, when your company is the one that literally tells people that a lot of them work, by the way, that insurance that you get through work isn't going to cover your cancer treatments or isn't going to be able to take care of any of this pain you have because we've determined that you already had it. It's a pre-existing condition. So we're going to not do squat. We're going to deny this claim, and there isn't anything you can do about it. And, it's just sickening. Anything to keep them from covering what needs to be covered.
he had just 64 followers, now more than 320,000 and counting. His initial 827 followers on Instagram grew exponentially Monday as we watched. But
I wish y'all would jump up and follow me more. Nah, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
by 3 o'clock, more than 32,000. An hour later, 53,000. By 5 o'clock Monday, more than 71,000 followers. Before that account,
If that happened on this account, I'd probably have a heart attack, just being honest.
was suspended. Many of the comments calling for his freedom and
Oh, yeah. And before I go any further, I wouldn't be able to get any help with it, right? Pre-existing condition.
calling him a hero.
Hear me on this. He is no hero. The real hero in this story is the person who called 911 at McDonald's.
That McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, where workers spotted the 26-year-old eating and called 911 Monday, targeted by Mangione's supporters.
What am I going to do? I'm going to stop eating at McDonald's.
It got so bad, Google had to remove reviews after that location was flooded with negative comments. Someone hung a banner above I-83 with the words "Deny, Defend, Oppose, Healthcare for All," a reference to bullet casings left at the crime scene. Amazon pulled apparel and home goods featuring the phrase. Online, Mangione may be a folk hero to some, but offline and in person, no shortage of those condemning him.
Healthcare is a mess in this country, but to celebrate somebody's death is sickening.
The people in these high.
No, that's the nuts part, because it actually is really screwed up that people are celebrating somebody's death. Even, look, I could see if this was somebody that was, hated a lot. Like, I'm not going to name names, but just think of high-profile people that people don't like, and how many of those people would actually be celebrating his death, too. Up until Luigi came around, I didn't even know who Brian Thompson, I think is his name. I don't know if I got that right. I know I got it right in the description, but yeah, like I didn't know who UHC's CEO was, and I didn't care because I that's not who does my insurance, so I didn't really care. I know of UHC. I've had UHC before, but the only reason I know this dude's name is because this Luigi dude got him, and that's yeah.
Positions like CEOs, they need to look at themselves and their company and ask themselves, why are people so ready to condemn us? Why are they so willing to call someone who supposedly killed another human being a hero?
While some suspect support for Mangione is not all about rage against healthcare, but instead something far more subjective and superficial.
It's the halo effect, like, manifesting in real society.
You really
I truly believe so. Like, people treat people who are attractive, like, way differently.
People are, like, giving him leeway with this because they are fantasizing him a little bit, but I don't think violence should ever be the answer, no matter the circumstance.
No, and that's right. I definitely don't think that would have been the right solution. But yeah, either way, that's something that, I don't know what's going on in the country right now. Like, there's certain good things that are being awoken, and there's all these bad things that shouldn't be happening. But I don't know. I still get a giggle every time I hear the guy's name. Luigi! But, yeah. All right.
Aaron, this could just end up being one of those cases that just ends up capturing the attention of the American people for a period of time. I mean, you look at what's happening right now on eBay at Less Checks, still selling merch related to this case. And the hashtag Free Luigi Mangione is something that's still trending even at this hour. Aaron.
Incredible. Jason, thank you very much. It was fascinating just to hear from all of those people. RJ Martin is back with me now. He's the owner of Surf Break Honolulu, HNL, a co-living community in Honolulu where he lived with and was good friends with Luigi Mangione, the suspected CEO killer. So RJ, I'm glad to speak with you again. As things happen here, it's so important to have your input and insight because you know him better than many. I mean, most people that were close to him. So when you see the video of your friend Luigi shouting, entering court today to face these charges, when he was basically resisting and he's fighting and he's screaming out. What do you think when you see that? Is that in any way the person that you know?
I'd like to comment on the video of him giving his valedictorian speech.
Yeah, go ahead.
That thoughtful, humble, good listener. That's the Luigi I knew. Somebody who could lead a conversation, but at the same time listen more than he spoke. Somebody who really cared about those around him and had a larger mind.
I get that, and everybody has their breaking point, and there's like something so personal like your insurance claim being denied when it's absolutely something that the insurance company should be paying for. Insurance companies are good for that. I have a friend who's having problems with that right now, and they had a fire and their insurance company isn't covering the right value of things. And yeah, so he's got to fight. It's stressful, Imagine, taking that kind of stress, plus this is a health insurance thing. I guess Luigi was, and maybe we'll find a video that explains it. They have, he was having like physical pain. I think it was in his back, or it was just excruciating pain that the insurance companies again said this was a pre-existing condition, which is their magical words for saying we don't have to cover this.
That was socially conscious, somebody that was just good to me and the other people that we lived together with at Surf Break.
And so and I know you've talked about that's the person that you knew, obviously not the sort of the anger and the rage that we saw today. And you said you didn't see or hear any anger or rage, even when he was talking about things like capitalism or housing or healthcare, things that he was had criticism for, but that it was an intellectual sort of criticism, as you described it to me before. He had posted a review for the Unabomber's manifesto online, and that's been available for a while for people to see, right? And I know as part of the book club that he had started with you at Surf Break, he had also put the Unabomber manifesto as something for that group. What did he say about that at the time?
We had a lively discussion about the manifesto as a group, a collective discussion, but nothing about it, I think, stood out more than other conversations that we had. And, frankly, I think after reading and skimming.
Yeah, I do want to see if we can't find this manifesto. I think I found it while this video has been playing, so we'll find out here in a minute.
Part of it, I don't.
Oh, a few minutes. We got like 3 minutes left on this.
I think the ideas in it were that original in terms of, how we're destroying our planet and how we need to reevaluate our systems. Yeah. So nothing about that conversation stuck out. He wasn't upset. He wasn't angry. I've never seen him upset or angry even. Definitely would put him in the chill, nonviolent category of people.
So last night, when we spoke, you talked about his back and how much that was just weighing on him and the pain, and that even a basic surfing lesson kept him in bed for a week. He had to get a new mattress. And police are now saying they think that back pain may be central to what happened here. I'm curious, though, when you talked about his social life a bit, when you and I had that conversation, we didn't get to talk about the implications of the pain that he was going through. Did he date when you knew him? Did he talk at all about his romantic life?
If you are in severe pain on and off, it's obviously going to affect all aspects of your life. Out of respect for his privacy and for the Surf Break community privacy, I don't want to comment at all on his dating or any of the other members dating while we live together.
Yeah, no, I don't mean whether they were dating. I just mean I know that you've talked a bit about how the back pain that he had could have made it impossible for him to be physically intimate, and that this was something that may have been frustrating for him. As they try to understand sort of what he was going through, do you think that this could end up being something important?
I think that pain is something that can change our brain chemistry. I think it's something that changes our thoughts. And I don't know, because I don't have firsthand knowledge from him of how much pain he was in or what he was dealing with. But I do know, from personal experience and from other friends and family, that when somebody's suffering, the way they think about themselves and the world gets warped.
Yes, that's very true, and I'm glad that he's bringing that up, because that's how you can go from that really nice, sweet, just awesome dude that spoke, the valedictorian speech, right? And then he turns into a guy that's just a cold-blooded killer. And it's like, yeah, you can go from that to that just because you're in that kind of pain. I know a few people that live with pain. They've lived with pain. They've had to deal with pain. And knowing them before and then after the pain is a whole world of difference. They're almost like different people sometimes. And yeah, you can get a really dark view because you hurt all the time, and it's not going to change. So why should you be in a good mood, right? And that's kind of how this happens. And so, but this guy went from having things really good to having things really bad, and unfortunately, he didn't have a good coping mechanism for it.
Drastically, and a lot of times you go to dark places when you're in excruciating pain and perhaps not receiving the care or the support that you need.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not actually related, and I'm pretty sure I'm older.
Yeah, autoplay I don't like. I like Linus. That's one of my definitely one of the YouTubers I like to follow. But let me pull up this video. I don't know if this is the manifesto, but I think it's about it. Yeah, it mentions it. And maybe it'll give us a cliff notes of what we want. I wonder what they're trying to sell there. Oh, insurance.
All right, buck up. We begin with a Fox News alert. The suspect in the killing of the UnitedHealthCare CEO Brian Thompson has been charged after being arrested Monday at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Right now, he's being held at a jail in Huntingdon, Pennsylvania.
Yep. Alexis McAdams has been covering the case all week long from the time of the shooting, actually within the hour. Alexis is now joining us here. Alexis, bit of a surprise that we found him in Altoona.
That's right. And it came in from a 911 call from a worker of that McDonald's. So that's how this case ended up breaking, according to authorities. So the manhunt for the killer now ending at that McDonald's in Pennsylvania. Luigi Mangione is facing a wide range of charges now, including murder right here in New York City. So the 26-year-old, you see him there on your screen, he was cuffed, then walked out of a Pennsylvania police department overnight. He's kind of looking around at the media, seeing who's out there, and there were a lot of cameras capturing his every move. Mangione then stood in front of a judge who explained that he could be extradited.
The way she's mispronouncing his name is driving me off the wall. It's Mangione.
To New York City because he was hit with some charges in Pennsylvania, but the ones in New York City are the ones that are the most serious, including murder. So this comes after a McDonald's employee spots Mangione in Altoona, Pennsylvania. It's like a 4.5-hour drive away from where this murder happened. That person called 911 to report the sighting, saying, I think I recognize the guy in the wanted pictures, specifically his eyebrows and his eyes, because he was wearing some type of surgical mask as he was eating inside that McDonald's. Mangione was sitting there wearing that mask. When officers pulled up and asked him some questions, they said, remove your mask, and then questioned the 26-year-old, who they say started shaking visibly, acting really nervous when they asked him, were you recently in New York? Then he handed over a fake ID. And that's key because he used that fake ID, sources tell me, to check into a New York City hostel before the shooting. Mayor Eric Adams has been thanking the officer out in Altoona who caught Mangione. Listen.
Hey, Tyler.
I guess we found your guy.
Yes, we as New Yorkers, we appreciate it. And you just did a great job. Heads up policing. You took a dangerous person off the street. We thank you so much.
It was great to do. More than happy to do it. I can't say I was expecting it waking up this morning.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You just have to keep your eye out. And that's exactly what the worker did at McDonald's and the authorities there in Altoona.
It's Luigi.
Mangione is facing these charges on your screen, including second-degree murder in New York and possession of a loaded gun, a gun they believe he printed on a 3D printer. Mangione had a backpack with him at the time.
A 3D printed a gun. That's something that's happening more and more often now with as 3D printers get more and more available. I think that sort of thing is going to change gun laws over time, not right away, but I think the fact that people can literally click a button and just print out a gun that has no serial number, it's not tied to you any way, shape, or form. And yeah, it's true that you can only get usually about 1 or 2, maybe 3 shots at most before most plastics just warp after being fired. Because again, all of this is plastic. It's not meant for that kind of heat and friction. But yeah, I gotta watch that because all you need to do is have good aim. You just gotta know how to aim it, and all it takes is one. It's all you need is one, and if you can get that out of the 3D printed gun, then it serves its purpose. So nobody's really making these 3D printed guns actually for self-defense, I don't think. I think anybody that's printing them that has the interest in using them is doing so because they're planning on having something disposable. But yeah, Luigi couldn't get rid of his 3D printed gun fast enough.
Of the arrest. Inside was a handwritten note that they say explained a possible motive, talking all about how he was in severe back pain and talking about the healthcare industry, saying it was a big scam. Also inside was a weapon. The Ivy League grad and Maryland native who went to a really expensive prep school and then went to UPenn reportedly mentioned UnitedHealthCare by name. Reading this, they say, "Parasites had it coming. I do apologize for any strife and trauma, but it had to be done." So some disturbing words there that will all be part of this case. This is who was killed on your screen. He was a dad of two. He was only 50 years old, in town for work. He worked for UnitedHealthCare for like 2 decades and was shot at least 2 times. In that video, he kind of gets shot in the leg first. Then
Yeah, so Luigi only had a couple shots, and so that means he got 2 shots out, and there's pictures of it on the internet where it didn't look like it was destroyed or anything. So he got 2 shots out of it. It didn't destroy the gun. Doesn't mean that he had consecutive shots, one right after another either. Because if you give it a few minutes to cool down, I suppose you could get more. But then again, he may have used a different kind of filament to make it than, for all I know. I don't know that much about 3D printing, but for all I know, there is a filament that can make a gun that can withstand multiple shots.
shot right in the chest. He leaves behind a wife and 2 kids. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro making sure people in their community know he was not a hero, this gunman.
In some dark corners, this killer is being hailed as a hero. Hear me on this. He is no hero. The real hero in this story is the person who called 911.
I don't think there's any heroes in this story. The guy who called 911 just did what he was supposed to. That doesn't make him a hero. He just picked up the phone. He made the call. They're calling him a hero because he, they made it easy for them to find it. He called, "Hey, your dude's over here." And that's why they're happy. So, yeah. And no, I don't really think that he's a hero because he killed a big rich guy. I don't think that makes this guy any more or less a hero. It doesn't do anything. He's just a dude who had enough and he exploded.
McDonald's this morning.
So Josh Shapiro using that moment to let everybody know, how he personally felt about some of the abhorrent behavior of people who thought this guy was anything but a murderer. But let's focus on the manifesto if we can. Handwritten, 2.5 pages, condemned the healthcare system. The document specifically mentioned UnitedHealthCare, the insurance giant. He also, as you said before, one of the quotes was they called them parasites. He saw the document, he says, "I do apologize for the strife and trauma." You think? As I killed the father of your family and your husband, I apologize for that. But it's clear there was one person who was the high school valedictorian, went to UPenn, and it seems to be a different person now.
Yeah, something changed. You can listen to his.
I'm seeing here it might have been a 3-page manifesto. I think they did say that, 2.5 pages. So no, I'm not going to try and find a video that actually has it. But I think this one here should, it's kind of covering it, which is the important thing. These people when they decide to go on a killing spree, they plan this out and they write their manifesto that explains why they're doing what they're doing. So that way, if something happens to them and they get shot and they die, there's a, their voice and their reason why they did what they did is at least there. Because anybody who does it like this, like he didn't do this because he actually thought that it was going to, for personal gain. He knew one of 2 things was going to happen. He was either going to get shot by the cops and killed, or he was going to go through what he's going through now. He knew it wasn't going to end well for him. So when people go and do this, it's because they have a cause. He's doing this because he believes, that killing their CEO is going to give the, it's going to do something and make them, I guess, think harder or differently about how they make decisions. It's like, it's not really going to work, but, I guess the way to think of it is, hey, a whole bunch of people lost their loved ones because your company wouldn't, authorize the treatment. So this guy just showed up and took their CEO. I don't know, that's an interesting way to play chess, I think.
His speech when he was a valedictorian, at that prep school in Maryland, and he's talking all about how the class there in 2016 wanted to get out there into the world and make a big difference. And now you look at, he had a bright future. His family had posted about that. He was very intelligent in the classroom. And now with this, he's looking, to spend the rest of his life behind bars.
Well, and people are starting to do a deep dive on his online profile. And I believe it was the Wall Street Journal looked at the reviews he wrote on books he had read. And among other things, he gave a book about the Unabomber's manifesto 4 stars. And we don't know exactly why, if this guy is the guy right now. He is, he's still the alleged shooter. But it is interesting when you start to look at his online stuff, his X account, formerly known as Twitter, features what looks like an X-ray of somebody who's gone through spinal surgery.
That's right.
And, people who've known him say that back pain affected all parts of his life. Guy's 26 years old. Was he just kicked off his parents' health insurance? Is that why, if he's the guy who did it, is that why this person wrote deny, delay, depose on those bullets? There are a lot of clues. We just haven't figured them all out.
Yeah, and so in the U.S., you can be on your parents' health insurance plan until you turn 26. So that's something that he might, and that was an Obama-era policy, so one of the good things he actually did. But, he was able to stay on his parents' policy, so it's possible that they knew that here in about less than a year that he wouldn't be on that policy anymore anyway, and he'd have to go somewhere else. And yeah, I don't know. I look forward to finding out more about what happened, just because this is something that so many of us can relate to. Like, even if we haven't had problems with insurance ourselves, we know of somebody who has or is currently fighting their insurance to get an operation done, and it's very frustrating, and it's so wrong that it has to happen.
Unless it's the obvious one.
Yeah, and he had also written on social media and in some of these other things in the manifesto about how he's in severe pain. He used to be a really good soccer player, some of his friends had said, in high school, and he was very active when he lived in Hawaii. He was always hiking.
Can't
and doing
do that
all these
with a
things.
bad
and then he
back.
kept talking about how his back hurt so bad from whatever had happened to him. I don't know what type of injury, and how the hospital, it wasn't the doctor's fault, he kept saying, but they would deny his claims.
The insurance company.
Yeah, the insurance company. So we're going to have to see, what happened here. But I think it's so disturbing that so many people, like you guys mentioned, are cheering on the gunman and saying that he did a job that needed to be done.
I'm worried about that. And as someone that I cover crime, you've covered crime for years, it's not only that there are people that are celebrating this guy, but it's also his plight. People being upset with the healthcare industry, the fact that people almost find him sympathetic, even if you start to get deeper, and if this allegation about the back pain being so much painful that led him to this.
Yeah, again, remember what dude's friend said, when you have, pain will change a person. And again, take a look at people who have survived car accidents. People who have went through all sorts of other trauma. And, this is the sort of thing that happens. Yeah, sure, Grandpa got his back fixed and his hip put in, and your buddy at work had whatever fixed, but now it's your turn to need help, and you're finding out that it's a huge fight because your insurance company is trying to get out of paying for whatever it is that you're supposed to get. And that's, they do that because if they know that if you have to fight hard enough for it, you're probably in too much pain to fight it. And because really that, there's people who live with pain because they can't afford to fight it.
The trigger.
I'm concerned that the jury, there's someone in there that can relate that would let a guy like this off. I've never seen anything like this before.
I know. And then as the investigation continues, yesterday, we saw so many divers out there in Central Park. They were searching for any evidence they could find, like the other backpack that had Monopoly money in it. So that could come into play in a courtroom. And then also the backpack he had with him in Altoona, that backpack had a weapon in it. They don't know if that's a specific weapon, I'm told, that was used in the shooting.
Right.
So did he print multiple guns? Did he have other possible possible victims that could have been coming? We don't know.
It's hard to even believe that you can do that. So he lived in the Surf Break co-living community in Honolulu. Residents there said that he did have chronic back pain. Here is one of his roommates. I don't know if this is a college roommate or someone from Hawaii. College roommate? Hawaii. All right, listen to this.
Unfathomable, knowing the kind, person that I saw and knew. I remember he said he had a back issue and he was hoping to get stronger in Hawaii. It also weighed on him that he knew that there was an impending surgery.
So we're wondering, is that what caused him to snap? Was he in so much pain? But now he's going to be sleeping on a bed in a prison. The pain's going to be worse.
That's right. They have him in a holding cell. He's going to be possibly, in federal lockup. If you look at the charges that could come from printing a gun, I don't know what kind of facility he'll be in. But yeah, he's going to have big problems here down the road. And you got to wonder, too, did his family, did anybody recognize those pictures? How did a guy at McDonald's in Altoona say, hey, I think I've seen that man? And the family did not, according to investigators.
Alexis, do we, our stage manager, Chris, said, why not first degree, which is capital murder? It was premeditated, judging by the manifesto. Do we expect more charges at some point today? Or do you think they're going to stay in the second degree?
I think it could change. I think those were just, the ones they could get him on now, and then they could always update. They just wanted to make sure they had a really tight case. They don't want it to get to court, possibly, and then have this thing flip. So they just charged him with that for now. But also the question is, did he really want to get this specific CEO, or was he looking for anybody that was coming in and out that day?
Sure. And the thing about ghost guns, and I remember from the debate when, this became an issue, was they would be hard to detect in X-ray machines. You could take them onto an airplane. And so fast forward to now, and it's like, you can look online and figure out how to print one up. The guy was at UPenn studying computer science. He was an engineer. If anybody should have no problems doing it, it would be somebody with that resume.
That's right, yeah. Background in engineering, 2 degrees from UPenn, and this is what he used.
Yeah, but the problem is by the time he got that degree, a bunch of it was probably out of date and irrelevant. That's, these people don't understand that these computer science degrees aren't all that they're cracked up to be. So, yeah, and this, it just goes back to what I said on a video a couple days ago. If you don't have college, that's fine. You don't have to have college to be able to get a job, especially in tech. There's so many ways, you can come here to YouTube and Twitch and wherever else you watch your videos, and you can see how to do stuff. People post how-to videos all the time, and, that can get you started on things like web design or Linux admin, things like that make money, things that can get you out of fast food if that's what you're trying to do. But
so we're going to have to see what plays out here.
All right, Alexis, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Shocking, though, isn't it? He's not the type of guy that we would expect to do something like this. With his family background, his parents and grandparents opened country clubs and healthcare facilities, real estate company. They had money. He went to this private prep school in Baltimore called the Gilman School.
Yeah, he had quite the pedigree, so now he's going to be possibly behind bars for the rest of his life.
Okay, well, thank you. Great job, Alexis. You've been working hard on that story.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews.
All right, yeah. That's basically Luigi Mangione. Um, let's look up some stuff about ghost guns. Like, let's see if we. Yeah, what is a ghost gun and why are they now? There we go.
What Alfredo Orihuela has in his hands is something that wasn't supposed to be available. It's the parts for a 3D printed gun called the Liberator, one of the designs by Defense Distributed that was scheduled to be released online today, until a judge blocked them with an emergency order. For weeks, lawmakers and pundits have been freaking out about a sudden stockpile of 3D guns.
This is about weapons of war being made in people's living rooms.
Critics are.
So, don't think for a minute that there aren't people out there who have those files anyway. There were people who wanted to. If people wanted that file, you can find that file. You just have to know where to look. It's out there. And yeah, I would be worried about people stockpiling these because, again, I think this is one of the designs that they'll go in and tell you that, yeah, it's only good for a few shots. That's part of why its barrel's so short. Because if you look right around here, that's just really small. And that, because if it's too long, it causes problems for the barrel. It gets too hot and it starts warping. It'll cause it to destroy and messes with the trajectory of the bullet. But that short barrel is probably the best chance this thing has to not having a short life.
Calling it downloadable death. What could possibly go wrong?
But as Orihuela's living room makes clear, the battle over 3D printed firearms has been over for years.
Where'd you get the blueprints from? I thought they weren't available online.
They are available online, and we're in an era where people can get the latest Drake album or Infinity War at will. To think that you can control or stop the flow of data on the internet, it's absolutely ludicrous.
Orihuela.
He didn't want to come out and say it, but he basically came out and, what he said was it could have been in torrents and he could have went to the dark web. The tube, because he's talking about, people go and get movies all the time. And yeah, the same place you can go find movies, you can probably find, the blueprints for this. Will I show you? Absolutely not. Not because I'm not trying to get shut down here, but you got a browser, use it.
Runs a 3D printing company out of his home. He sells printing machines like the one here to schools and maker studios, some for as little as $250.
When you made a Liberator a few years ago, why'd you do it?
I wanted to see what was involved with it. I mean, I love the 3D printing industry. I want to know all I can about.
So this thing was already available on the internet a few years prior to the release of this video. Let's see when that was. Let's get a timeline on this. So this was 6 years ago. So this is really old. So we're watching a 6-year-old video. But yeah, and now they have, we'll watch one that had to do with Luigi's 3D printed gun because they did put some pictures of that.
So I wanted to see for myself, is this a functional piece?
All the magic that the ATF loves to regulate happens right in here.
The Liberator was the brainchild of Cody Wilson, a crypto-anarchist and gun enthusiast who released the designs online in 2013. He told me his mission is to show that guns can be manufactured by just about anyone, and to send up a giant middle finger to proponents of gun control. The blueprints for the gun were online for only a few days before government officials ordered him to take them down. But that was enough. Tens of thousands of copies.
Yeah. So that because what happens is they'll put them out on the clear web, which is what most people just know as the regular internet. That's clear web, and with the right kind of press, with the right kind of attention, people who care about stuff like this, especially, you know, putting it in Reddit and places where people look to find just obscure things like this is going to make it so that way, even if you're up for a day or two, like this was, everybody in the world that needed to get it's going to get it. 10,000 people downloaded it. Guess what? 10,000 people thought that is bullshit that the government took it down. 10 and at least half of those people have made sure that those files will never die. That's why you can go find the blueprint for this one, and it's an older one, and there's probably a 2 or even 3.0 version of the Liberator by now. So, yeah.
Were downloaded. Thus began a 5-year legal saga that was supposed to end today, until that emergency restraining order.
Should we put one together?
So these pieces were printed in
I love this guy. So they're like, "Oh yeah, this is all illegal. You know, today they ruled this is wrong. This is illegal. It's, and blah blah blah. Oh, want to put one together? Sure."
the last 24 hours.
But Orihuela isn't particularly impressed with the quality of Wilson's guns. Neither are gun enthusiasts, which is probably why there aren't stockpiles of 3D guns.
This is the fully assembled or semi-assembled Liberator pistol.
I mean, it looks like a gun.
It's like a Nerf gun.
Yeah. When you 3D print anything like that out of plastic, you're not going to win the end. Nobody's going to have envy over what you have. They're going to be like, "Does that thing even fire?" Knowing that it might not. Like normally you test a gun when when you build one, but the problem with these is that a lot of times they're single use, so that test fire could work, but then you have to print another one and you have no idea until you fire the next one. So that's something. I think that's the problem that this design has. I could be wrong, but they have to be very careful when they design plastic pistols. That's why Glocks have problems, I hear. I'm not a gun guy, but yeah, I constantly hear about Glocks being made out of plastic. Better plastic than this, though.
But I mean, it's designed to fire a bullet in theory.
In theory, it is designed to fire a bullet very poorly. It is possible one day that an entry-level, so to speak, machine would be able to produce a functional firearm. Is that in the realm of possibility? Yes. But again, I don't see that as something new.
So they're printing these, and they probably don't even work unless you have a really nice 3D printer. Now, again, this is a 6-year-old video, and in the last 6 years, things have come a long way in 3D printers. So it's possible there are entry-level printers now that could actually print one that works. I would love to find out if you know somebody that does, point a video even. I would just love to know, because that stuff fascinates me.
People can make their own firearms. They can make untraceable firearms in a variety of other ways. And 3D printing is simply a new way of making guns. It's not a good way of making guns.
3D technology will dramatically improve in the future, but there are a ton of other ways to legally make an untraceable gun already.
Is everyone kind of freaking out about nothing?
I think they really are. I think it's really being overblown. And believe me, I'm all for gun control, but I do not believe that it is something that should bleed over into this industry right now. The average person is not innovating and creating firearms for various purposes. It's assuming everybody's a criminal.
All right. Nobody on Facebook. But yeah.
After Reddit's excellent work,
So I'm not even signed into that account. And it just knows that I watch that a lot. All right. So yeah, let's try and find Luigi. Oh wait, Ghost Guns 2024. Let's see what Ghost Guns look like nowadays. Okay, so you can kind of see pictures of.
Team coverage continues now with the CB2's Miami.
I think this is the one that, because you saw that in the picture right there. I'm not going to mouse over. So you saw the one that was in the video before, that Liberator, and I'm pretty sure this might be the one that Luigi used. Even this one here was even nicer, but let's see if this is Luigi's.
Our team coverage continues now with the CB2's Miami's Steve Mangione. He has more on the growing threat of the so-called ghost guns like the one used in this crime.
These 3D printers can be bought by anyone and can be set up in a place as simple as your garage. A retired Miami police chief says that it is legal to make these ghost guns by using a 3D printer. Marcelo Nader runs his 3D.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't think it's illegal to possess a ghost gun, but I think the law changes when you put a bullet in the chamber and go to use it. Because if you don't fire it, for some reason they're not necessarily as worried about it. At least that's the way this video sounds. And of course it is in Florida, so things are crazier out there. You got people who fuck gators.
Printer business out of his garage at his home in Kendall. All he has to do is download a design, set it, and forget it.
I can take that data, put it in the computer, and create the item of what the client wants.
Even a gun?
Even a gun.
It took just under an hour to make this little replica, but this might be more fitting for a G.I. Joe doll. To make a full-sized one, Nader says it is possible, but he would need much stronger materials and a much bigger machine. This is what's known as a ghost gun. The Justice Department released a report last year saying that the use of ghost...
Yeah, look at these. These are way nicer than that one from 6 years ago. Like 6 years ago, we had that guy that was all worried that, entry-level machines can't make a good gun that works. And it's like, what I'm seeing here are things that look like they probably should fire. And it, like the detail, they look good. And yet they're just plastic pieces of crap. They're not going to put up with a whole lot of abuse, unless I'm wrong. Unless they've got a better filament now, unless there's certain designs, because I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an expert on 3D printing. I'm just fascinated by it.
Guns and crimes has risen 1,000% since 2017.
I have no tolerance, nor should anyone, for one man using an illegal ghost gun.
Police say Luigi Mangione was carrying a ghost gun when he was arrested in Pennsylvania. George Kalina is a retired Miami police chief. He says there's no...
The dude didn't even get rid of it when he was done. Like, I think that's why I think he didn't expect to get away as far as he did. I think I was reading that they found him in Arizona. No, it wasn't Arizona. It was Altoona, Pennsylvania. So I don't know, I could be wrong. But for some reason I'm remembering Arizona. But yeah, he had his ghost gun on him and he didn't get rid of it. especially going, between states. It's like, yeah, if I'm crossing state lines and I just did something like that, I'm going to make sure I know some places I can go shred that thing.
Serial number or a record of these 3D printed guns being made.
You didn't have to give your name. You could have paid with a debit card.
Kalina says these are dangerous for those with bad intentions because you can just order the parts online in a kit and build it at home. State lawmakers tried to pass a bill banning manufacturing a gun at your home, but it failed in 2022.
The laws that are created to protect people from dangerous folk, that doesn't come into play here because you're buying this weapon anonymously. You don't have to provide a name. You just need to provide payment.
Nader says he doesn't build guns at his shop, and for most people, it isn't worth the expense.
If you're going to spend all that money to make a gun, you're better off just buying one.
And as for the legality,
Yeah, so at some point in time, like, if all you want is to make a gun, he's right. The machine needed to create that is probably starting at $500 if you're lucky. Because I've priced these machines before, and they have different tiers and different quality levels, and there's some, like, the better ones started around 1100, 1200, and by the time you start spending that kind of money, you can just go get a gun. Like, this is, if you're, like I said, if you're using a 3D printer to print a gun and you plan on using it, yeah, it's going to be expensive, but you're doing it because you're about to break the law, and that's the only reason he has that gun or had that gun was to go do what he did. But yeah, like, if you just want to buy something for self-defense, don't go to. You could do so much better in a 3D printed gun. Get like a real one that's made out of whatever metal good guns are made out of, steel, I think. But yeah, just don't get a fucking plastic one. That's retarded.
of these ghost gun kits, that issue is being taken up right now by the U.S. Supreme Court. In Kendall, Steve Magiri, CBS News, Miami.
After a recent video buying out a small tech shop.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna cut off here for a little bit. I'm gonna hop on here a little bit. I want to play some games, but I'm gonna stream it. I just started playing the Star Wars, Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. I actually played through and beat the whole game on the streaming service for Xbox Game Pass, but then I just quit doing that for a while because that got boring. Because why am I paying monthly to rent games I'll never own? But now I'm playing. Now I got it for free because Epic Games. So if you have the Epic Games launcher, you can get free games every couple of weeks, and I've been doing that for a while now, and like at least a year. I think it feels like a year. I got so many games. Then I go for like weeks and weeks and entire months where I don't even log into it. So who knows what cool ass games I might have missed out on this year. But yeah, and I'll go in and I might not download them right away, or I might not ever download them, but I'll go in and I'll see that they're free and I'll click the button to add it to my library. Anything else. So I got some stuff that might be some good content for, uh, for here, right? But the other game that I grabbed the other day at the same time was some bus simulator game that I wonder if it's as boring as it sounds. So I don't know. I'll be back with you guys here.